Okay, we're gonna do. I was gonna do some highlights for the sports, but I kind of want to say a couple of things about the NBA slaves, sort of like NBA slaves, a continuation of that. Now, as you all know, most of these NBA players, former players, used to they played for years and decided to just basically retire and end up broke, I guess. But I just want to kind of talk about slavery in the form of sports. Now, as you all know, I made a video about NBA slaves talking about how most players are making, even though they make so much money, are still slaves in a way that they don't really control their fate or own any sort of sports teams. And it's kind of amazing to me that most of these NBA players that retire, they never really get together to pull their resources into owning or buying a team. And it's pretty sad because they can bask in all the wealth and basically eliminate the likes of this racism that's rampant in the NBA, since most of the players are black and about 75-80% of them are black in the NBA, and they can reduce the amount of Donald Sterling incidences. Because I mean, Donald Sterling, he made a point about he said something about black players or Jewish people, and the Jews, they own and control not just the NBA but the majority of businesses in the U.S. and of course Canada. Because I mean, I drive by an area where I do often work, and there's a center owned by Jewish people, and they own most of the apartment complexes and most of the commercial buildings, there's real estate. And it's not surprising they own a lot of NBA teams and NHL teams. And I'll get to that in a minute. It's not just NBA slaves I'm going to talk about. It's basically sports slaves is the whole topic of this video. And I would say that the NHL, to some extent, the NHL is a plantation as well, and they're NHL slaves too, with the increasing of some black players that are playing in the NHL. But mostly NBA, MLB, Major League Baseball slaves, because most of the players in baseball are black too, and also NFL slaves as well, since since black players are on the team, and they don't even own any of the teams. I mean, I don't know what it is with black athletes, pro black athletes, trying to make the team when never really thinking about the fact that their careers can be cut short as well. And we're also seeing an increasing slave population in WNBA, since most players, the majority of WNBA players are African American women getting out of college. And they never really think about ownership as well. Because I've read somewhere, I've watched a video called Broke, and it had a former WNBA player by the name of Cheryl Swoops. She ended her career and she ended up broke, financially strapped for cash. So I don't know. All these leagues are pretty much plantations because they rake in most of the money, and plus get they make their money through the players' endorsement deals, and of course they make money out of advertisements and TV ads or or they get the money from the ad revenue they make through these companies. And the players don't get very much money. Oh, they make millions of dollars, NBA players. And Major League Baseball players make a lot of money. And of course, NFL players make a whole lot of money too. But in a sense, they're still slaves because they don't own any teams, and they don't control the wealth within these leagues. And these leagues, I think they were set up by these corporate companies, corporate entities that are basically owned and run by Caucasians. Okay, you got to remember, white supremacy is not just in society itself; it's everywhere in sports as well. Whether it's sports, labor, economics, politics, even the sex industry has white supremacy written all over it. And sports is no exception. And I've read something from Larry Johnson. He made a statement about blacks setting up their own sports, their own leagues. Wow, I admire him for saying stuff like that. It's easier said than done, because how are these black leagues going to get sponsorships from these companies? Okay, that control all the money and control the policies that are put in place within these major leagues that we watch on television. So it's a tough call from Larry Johnson. It's going to be very tough because these corporations, they fund the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball and WNBA, and in some cases the NHL. Well, they fund the NHL too, and in some cases maybe the CFL, the Canadian Football League, since it's probably owned and commissioned by a Jewish man. So there's a lot of racial issues in sports and the politics that come with it. And I know this is probably a repeat of the NBA slaves, but it's not just NBA slaves that I'm talking about here. I'm also talking about overall sports slaves, since pro sports is a money-making machine. And I have to add on the NCAA tournament as well, league as well, because most of the players on there are black, African American players, and they make millions of dollars for the NCAA through ad revenues and basically commercials or endorsements. I mean, in these companies that endorse the NCAA tournaments, sporting tournaments like basketball, football, maybe hockey, and in some cases golf. So, of course, these corporations fund the NCAA as well. And these black kids play in these college sports, and they don't get compensated for it. It's like they're being exploited like animals in cages, or treated like circus animals. So it's not a good proposition. I think blacks should really get out of this sports and basically focus on other endeavors. But I know it's not going to happen, because the playing in sports is just too tempting for many African American or even kids of African descent, to play in, thinking they're going to get an NFL or NBA or even a Major League Baseball contract, and in some cases NHL contract, but never really thinking about the fact that their careers may never last very long, and the money they make may run out due to the cutthroating approaches by these of these league and team owners. So that's something for them to think about. I know this video is long, but I just had to get that off my chest. And this completes another video of Gulf Sports, and this is Sports Slaves. Adios.